I have no words. Thank you very much for that. If you don't know, the channel has recently passed the 10,000 subscribers, which is... I have no words, to be honest. Again, just a few months ago, I was like, oh yeah, I got another subscriber, yeah, and now I've got 10,000. Thank you very much. So today I'd like to open a box with you because one of my very kind viewers from Canada decided to send me a couple of motherboards to repair. Now, I kind of know what's inside. I know what type of motherboards is inside, but I don't know what model of motherboard it is. Most importantly, I have no idea what the problem is with them. So let's go on the bench, open this box and see what's inside. So let's open this little package which comes from Canada from my viewer Mockingbird. Thank you very much. Whatever it's inside, I really appreciate it. So let's open it up. Okay, so we have two motherboards. We have a PT5VMD, I'm not familiar with it, and a 591P. 591P, it kind of reminds me, I think I might have one of them. Is that a PC chip as well? Anyways, we got this PT5VMD, says I've received this board with a missing keyboard AT connector. I installed one, but the system doesn't detect the keyboard. I noticed some damage to one of two SMD inductors near the keyboard. Tried replacing that, but it didn't help. The system also posts intermittently and does not display the correct CPU speed. Fully recapped with authentic parts, but I may have used capacitors that are too tall near the CPU socket. Yeah, that happens very often. That might interfere with the AZZA slots. It happened to me many times. Downsize to 8 by 11.5mm parts if you wish, and you can reduce the capacitance to 820 microfarad parts if you can't find good 1000 microfarad caps at 11.5mm length. And then we have a 591P, all 8mm capacitor replaced. Again, I use caps that might interfere with the AZZA slots, since this board would not post at all. I didn't bother to finish recapping it. You'll notice two trace repairs on the underside of the board, as well as some exposed traces that I tested continuity on in suspect areas. Unless you can find something I missed, I don't think the issue is still broken traces. The two 168-pin RAM slots are missing retaining clips. I thought to replace them if I ever got the board working one day and actually obtain some replacements. If you get this up and running and are able to desolder the old slots, let me know. I might be able to give you my spares. Good luck with the repair and with the YouTube channel. Mockingbird from Vogons. Thank you very much. I'm pretty curious, so let's have a look at the boards. This doesn't want to be a repair video, but I would say let's take a look and let's do a little bit of basic troubleshooting, and then eventually there will be a repair video if we can't make it work. It's a PT5VMD. The brand is, not sure I'm saying it right, AZZA. It sounds a bit funny in Italian, to be honest. I'm sure my Italian viewers will understand what I mean. It's a nice motherboard. It's got an AGP slot. It's got the Apollo MVP3 chipset from VIA. We got 3 AZZA slots and 3 PCI slots plus 1 AGP. This has been recapped, and I see what Mockingbird's means with the capacitors a bit too tall. You got these capacitors here which will probably interfere with an AZZA card, or could interfere with an AZZA card. I'm not sure about that, to be honest, but anyway, something to be kept in mind. Right off the bat, there's something I'm noticing here. It's a little bit of corrosion on this slot here, so I might not want to use it straight away. I will use other slots. Nothing serious, don't know where that comes from, but something that caught my attention. We got dual power supply, ATX and AT. We got the cache chip. And the usual I/O connectors. We got floppy disk, 2 IDs, 1 parallel and 2 serial. You can find all the information about this board on the retro web page. You can find all the jumper settings, the manuals and everything. If I discover something on this board which is not on the retro web, I will make sure that it goes on the retro web database for future reference for everybody to use. But I can see that there's quite a lot of indications on this board in terms of voltages and frequencies and everything. So chances are I don't need to go and look at the manual. I can just look at the board itself. I would say let's configure this for my Pentium 200 MHz MMX and let's try and power up, see if it works. If it doesn't, we can do some basic measurements, see what works, what doesn't. If it still doesn't work, if we can't see anything, then it's going to be a repair video. Right, so my 200 megahertz CPU is at 2.8 volts, so I need to locate JP 14, 15, 16, 17 and 18, and I only want 17 shorted. The others are supposed to be open. And these are the jumpers, so I would need 17 shorted. Mine is a 66 megahertz CPU, and looking at the manual, I basically need to have JP1, which is this one here on the left. You can see the label on the board. That is supposed to be open, so let's open this. I need 2 and 3 shorted. JP4 is supposed to be open. 1, 2, 3 and 4. 5 shorted and 6 open. 9 and 10, there's no mention about 7 and 8, I'll find, but 9 and 10 is supposed to be shorted. I need to find out what JP7 and 8 are for. JP7 and 8 are to basically set the SD RAM clock to the CPU clock or to the AGP clock, and as it is right now with open short, it's set to CPU clock. I think, to be honest, I don't know how it works, but yeah, I'll leave it to CPU clock for the time being. Okay, well, this should be ready to go, so I think I'll risk a bit this time, which is kind of unusual for me, but I think I'll just plug the CPU in and measure the voltage first thing first without getting crazy with dummy loads and all my usual crazy stuff. Right, I got the motherboard populated, got the CPU in, random, was that, an S3 Trio 64V+. Video card, I have my post card, I got some RAM, got the power supply and the keyboard. And also have a little speaker in case the motherboard wants to say something. Again, I don't know how long I can keep the 200 megahertz without a heatsink, so I'll keep a finger on top just in case it gets stupidly warm. I'm not sure I've ever tried it without a heatsink, but to just see whether it's booting up or not, it should be okay. And again, I'll keep a finger on it. So let's give it power and see what happens. In 3, 2, 1, go. There is a code. The CPU is getting, well, not really warm or anything. Let me see on those LEDs, because it looks like something is missing. So if I'm seeing it right, plus 12 volt is missing. But I do see the reset line works, because when I power up, you can see the reset line is engaged for a split second. 3, 2, 1, go. And then it goes away, so the reset line is working as well. But the 12 volt is not working. Now, I'm pretty confident 12 volt is coming from the power supply, because this green LED is on the 12 volts line. But just to be on the safe side, let's make sure that 12 volt is actually there. Yeah, so we got 12 volts going in. Let's see if we have 12 volts on the ISA slot, which is on pin 9 on that side. We do have 12 volts. So why is the... Wait. Right, okay, so that's just the slot a bit rusty, fair enough. Okie dokie. False alarm, it needs some deoxit or whatever we call it here. I would say the next step would be to check what the CPU is getting. Okay, so let's check for the voltages. Now, being an MMX processor, this has 2 voltages. One is for the V-core, one is for the I/O. So the V-core is 2.8 volts, the I/O is 5 volts, 3.3? Well, it's a different voltage. I can't remember right now. Let's go and check what I think it's going to be VCC. Looking at several schematics, got power. There it is. So we got 2.8 volts as a V-core, so that's fine. 3.4, I think that's the correct voltage for the I/O. I can check that one, but that should be fine. So it looks like the processor is getting voltage, which is good. I guess the next step would be to make sure the RAM is getting voltage, even though if the RAM was not getting voltage, I would expect like the RAM beep. But anyways, let's see what we got. That should be pin number 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1.7 volts. So it's not supposed to be 3.3. Yeah, I mean, even the slot is saying 3.3 volts. So either I'm measuring in the wrong place, which is very, very possible, or maybe there's an issue with that. And no, I was measuring the wrong place, so it was on the other side. We do get 3.4, it's totally fine, volts on the memory, so the memory is good as well. Well, the next step would be to check the clock. We have 66.8. It's kind of high. It's supposed to be 66. But we definitely have a clock. Okay, this is getting interesting. Well, you know what, since we are here, let me scope the voltages. So that's the 3.3 volts. It's only reading, sorry, 2.8. It's reading 2.3, but that's the oscilloscope, probably. But don't see anything horrible here. And if I'm going on the 3.3 volts, and it's totally fine, it's totally stable, and with no ripple or anything. Perfect. Well, it doesn't look to be like a very basic fault. Because I don't see anything on the postcard, I kind of think that maybe there's an issue with the BIOS. So one thing I can try straight away, which probably has been tested anyways, is to reset the BIOS chip. The next one, but maybe not for now, would be maybe to remove that chip and read it and see if there's anything on it, compare it to the something that we have online. I guess I can probably burn another one. This looks like recent enough, so you don't need the UV light or 21 volts. So just as a quick test, let's remove it, let's check the condition of the pins, and see if that changes anything. And to be honest, the chips looks to be in great shape. I don't see anything nasty with it, any corrosion or anything. Socket looks fine. Still, you know, that's just that's an easy fix. Let's put some contact cleaner in it. And let's see if that changes anything, which I doubt. I've removed the video card. I mean, if it doesn't do anything, there's no point in having the video card. See what happens. 3, 2, 1, go. Still nothing. Okay, well, I would say that this is the end of my basic tests. I guess we'll pick this up on a different video, on a separate video. We'll do a little bit of extra in-depth troubleshooting. I guess we need to start probing address lines and see whether there's any activity running. Maybe check the legs of these chips and, you know, that kind of the basic stuff. So, interesting board. Thank you, Mockingbird. We'll just see this board again in a future video. Let's move to the other one. Let's take a look. Let's see what's wrong with it. Let's do the same journey and see if we can either fix it or just take a look for the future. And I'm going to leave a note on this board so that I know what works, what we've been done basically over the past 15 minutes. So next time I can pick it up from where we're leaving it today. I've just realized that I've been mixing up the boards. The PT5VMD is the one that is supposed to post, even though intermittently, but it has a keyboard issue. Now, again, it wouldn't post on my test, even though, if I remember right, the first time I powered up, there was a postcode on the postcard. But anyways, you know, just wanted to mention I've been mixing up boards here, and this is the one with the keyboard issue, even though, again, it still doesn't post. So, you know, before we fix the keyboard, I guess we might have to have a look at why it's not posting, unless maybe the problem is linked together somehow. Maybe there's an issue with the keyboard controller. If you remember one of my previous videos, I think it was the keyboard controller chip which was preventing the board from booting up altogether. Right, let's move on with the next one. It's another socket 7 board. I do see an indication here. It says 591P version 3.1 here on the bottom left. Let's have a look at the retro web and see what it says. Oh, this is a SHUTTLE Hot 591P. I think I repaired one in one of my previous videos. I can't remember what the problem was. Let me see if I can find it. And here it is. Yeah, I have an identical board which I've repaired on one of my previous videos. Honestly, I can't remember what the issue was with the board. I need to go and check because honestly I can't remember. But that's great. So, you know, I might be using this board, which should be working, to do some little comparison. Don't really want to use this one for spare parts. But yeah, it's nice to have a working board so I can probably try and troubleshoot the other one. Fantastic. Right, so this is another socket 7. It's based on the same VIA chip, the Apollo MV-P3, and it's very similar to the other one. It's got an AGP slot, which is a bit mangled. Now I'm noticing it. This board looks like it's been through some a little battle as well as some of my previous ones. Then we have 3 PCI, 3 ISAs, the usual I/O inputs. We have damaged RAM sockets, so I won't be able to use my 168-pin modules. I'll have to use my 722 dual power supply, and that's it. So apparently this board is not booting up at all, it's completely dead. I would say let's configure it for my Pentium processor, and we'll move from there. We'll see what happens. We'll see if it shows any sign of life, and we'll do our basic checks as before, and then we'll see whether we can do anything or we just leave it to a full repair video. Right, here we go. I got the motherboard, the voltage is set for my Pentium, the frequency is set for my Pentium. I've got 2 sticks of DRAM here, 72 pins, and I've got my post-diagnostic card here. I haven't got a video card because, to be honest, if it's not doing anything, there's no point in having a video card at this stage. And I also have the speaker here in case the motherboard wants to talk to us. I would say, let's see what happens. 3, 2, 1, go. Completely dead. Perfect. Let's power off again. Let's check the reset line again. Let's give it time for the capacitors to discharge. And let's see if the reset line is originally on and then it switches off. So 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, so the reset line works. So I would say next step would be to check the CPU voltage and clock as we did with the other one. Okay, so let's go back to the clock pin. So let's power up and see what we see. 3, 2, 1, go. 12 megahertz. So either I made a mistake or there's something wrong with the clock. Since we are here, let's check the voltages. This is my 3.3 volts line. It says 3.4. That should be, wait a minute, that should be 2.8 for this CPU. So let's check with the multimeter. For whatever reason, it can be a bit more accurate than the oscilloscope. Okay, let's power up and check this V core. 3, 2, 1, go. No, that's too high. It shouldn't be 3.5. So either I made a mistake or something is wrong with it. So let's double check that. Right, for the voltage, I actually trusted what the motherboard said. I might have misunderstood this table. Let's have a look on the manual and see what the manual says. So this is J19. According to the manual, I only need a jumper on number 4 between A and B, which is what I have, to be honest. Yeah, I don't see a mistake unless there's an issue with this jumper here. It shouldn't really do 3.5. 3.5 is, which is, by the way, the maximum it can do. Right, I think I've been looking in the wrong place. It's just I can't really find a proper Pentium pinout schematic. At least I can't. So instead of checking here, probably I need to check in here, and halfway through the processor I should change in between VCC2 and VCC3, which is the V core, the voltage for the I/O. So let's try again. Yeah, I got 2.8, 2.8, 2.8. Yeah, I was definitely looking in the wrong place. And here I should have 3.5. Yeah, okay, so the voltages are fine. Perfect, that's good. Then I have an issue with the clock. So let's double check the clock again. Now, looking at the manual for the 66 MHz system clock, AGP clock, and 33 MHz PCI, on JP1 I need 3, 4, and 5, 6 shorted, and I have the 3, 4, and 5, 6. Plus I have 9, 10, which is the multiplier, and 9, 10 here is the 3x multiplier, which is totally fine because we have 66 by 3. So this is totally fine. Then I need JA 26 and 27. These are basically supposed to be on 2, 3, 2, 3. So we got 26 and 27, and 25 is left not connected. And JA25 is basically to set whether the memory is getting the CPU clock or the AGP clock. Well, it's supposed to be set to something, so let's set it up. Let's set it with system clock. So it's going to be like this. There's no option for no settings. And I also need JP9 open. And here is JP9, which is closed. So I'll open this up. Okay, back to the oscilloscope. No, we only have 12.5. That's the reset line, and that's the clock. Yeah, 12.5 megahertz. That's not gonna work. But since we are here, let's check. The V core is fine, 2.8. The I/O voltage is 3.5, and it's fine. To be honest, unless I'm mistaken, we might have a problem with the clock here. Clock should be 66 megahertz. Not 12. Something I've noticed in this area here is this crystal here, Y1 I guess, is, well, it's got some damage. So let's check with the scope and see what it does, because that should be a 14.31 megahertz I guess. It might be, I don't know how this works, but obviously this is not the one generating the megahertz, but it might be some kind of reference crystal for the main chip to work. I don't know, to be honest. Oh yeah, okay, 14.3 megahertz. So yeah, this is working. It's a weird signal, but I also have a very long ground cable, so that makes sense. Okay, 14.3 megahertz, this is working totally fine. To be honest, 12 megahertz is not even an option for the CPU, obviously. So I'm not sure. I think this is the frequency controller. I guess we would need to have a look at that one. That could be why this board is not posting, or it's not doing anything, it's dead. Well, to be honest, I'd say hopefully, unless I'm doing something wrong here, which is very possible, hopefully we found what the problem is. So this board will need a little bit of investigation on the clock chip and find out why we get that 12 megahertz instead of 66. Obviously the CPU is not doing anything with such a low frequency. So I would say let's pause this video here and I'll take a look at this board in the future with a proper repair video. And just to be on the safe side, this is my SHUTTLE 591P. I just thought, you know what, I have an identical board. Let's just, replicate all the jumpers and see what happens. And no surprise, if I power it up, it does boot up, no problems whatsoever. Also, if I go and check the clock on the same pin that I was checking before, I'm getting what I'm expecting, 66.8 megahertz. So I guess this is it for this video. We'll pick up these two boards in future videos and we'll see if we can make them happy again and fix all these issues. Thank you very much, Mockingbird, for sending me those two boards. It's very much appreciated. I'm always happy to receive broken stuff that I can fix, if I can fix it. Thank you very much for those 10,000 subscribers. It's just, I don't know what to say, to be honest. I'll just do my best to keep you entertained. For now, thanks for watching. As usual, if you like this video and you like what I'm doing here, I would appreciate if you could hit the like button down below and also consider subscribing to my channel if you like what I'm doing here. As usual, you have a great day and I hope to see you soon here on my channel for my next videos. Thank you very much, have a great day and goodbye. Bye.